We've been able to attract around us a group of people that are so passionate about every single aspect of what they do at work that brings the whole team up to a level that I just didn't think was possible.
So that's just to set the scene a little bit. It's a little bit about us.
There was actually footage of us surfing as well, but we cut that out because it was a bit self-indulgent.
Yeah. So, I hate the dentist.
It's something we hear all the time, and we can understand why, because basically what we're paid to do is to do surgery on people's mouths while they're awake. And it's our job to make that fun.
So when I first graduated, I graduated back in 2005, and my first job was at Avenue Dental. So when we first started there, the workplace culture was poor. So it had really a lot of great elements, but really the leadership in the practice was a bit variable. So the same stimulus, depending on the day, would elicit a completely different response. So as a result of that, the team didn't feel safe. So without that safety, people weren't willing to put their neck on the line. They weren't wanting to come up with new ideas or that kind of thing. So really, I love that quote, so as goes the leader, so goes the organisation. And that's exactly what was playing out on a daily basis. So in that environment, even though there's a lot of really great people, the people who excelled were the ones who actually thrived in that negative environment. They were the ones who played the politics and got ahead. And then we had a lot of really great people and great elements that ended up leaving because they didn't like that kind of environment. So we lost a lot of good people in those early days. So fast forward though, I actually bought into Avenue Dental in 2011. I think that was actually graduation. Straight after graduation, I wanted to do the dodgiest looking appearance that I could. So I bought the business, and then that was the culture that I inherited. So I just felt completely out of my depth. Like I was just a nerd who could do dentistry really well, really nothing about running a team at dental school, and I just felt completely out of my depth. I felt just like the weight of the world on my shoulders, that there's a whole team of people and everyone was just pulling in different directions, and I'm trying to like go, this is the way we want to go, and pull everyone along. But it was just so hard, and I couldn't get everyone aligned. It was just really challenging. Plus, I had a newborn baby at home, and dealing with the lack of sleep and everything that goes with that. So it really wasn't a great start to business ownership for me, and certainly wasn't the kind of place you think about a great culture. So I knew I needed to make some changes. The first thing, I called up my best mate, Eli. I've got this awesome opportunity for you. You can come and do it. And it had always been our dream. We'd always talked about this at dental school. We were like, how good would that be? So we finally could do this.
So I came up in 2013, and I was in Steve's boat as well, not knowing much about business and operating a practice, but coming from a fairly dysfunctional workplace as well. And once I obviously bought in and started up, we decided, well, let's have a look and see how things are running. And when we dived into what was actually happening in the business, it was pretty scary. We had an on pay for profit, which for some of you guys know means we're paying tax, but there's no money in the bank. And in fact, we had massive tax liabilities that were unpaid due to unpaid payroll tax. So pretty scary stuff. Also, some parts of the business were actually making a big loss, and that was difficult. And what was even worse was the culture was absolutely toxic. I don't know if any of you guys have worked in places where we've got an extremely low trust environment. Try to change things in a low trust environment, and there's a huge amount of pushback. We tried to do a few things, and we actually almost had a mass resignation. So that was fun. It was good. It was good times. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
And that is an actual shark with a toothbrush there, so that's not photoshopped. That's not my hand, but I was in the cage. So yeah, it was good.
So the first change, we realised we had to change first, and we had to be the change we wanted to see. So the first step for us was clarifying our own purpose and values, And then more recently, we've clarified our family values we've wanted to apply as well, which has been a great process. It was also, we had to grow as people and just put our egos aside and stop wanting to be the man, even though we still like being the centre of attention sometimes, but to put that aside and actually realise like what gave us the most fulfilment was investing in others and growing other people. And that was what we liked doing most. So that became then the focus, was actually growing others. We also had to commit to learning. We'd always been mega dental nerds, so we loved learning, but then instead we changed that focus to let's learn about all the business stuff that we were not competent in, which was a lot. And the fortunate thing as well, we realised there's all these people who had had the same problems we had had, and they'd written whole books about it. So we were like, oh, great, we can actually learn about all the things that we don't have a clue about. And people have come up with a full plan on it. And we also hired a business coach to help us with that process.
So it was actually about an 18-month process, but we went in to decide on how we wanted the future of Avenue Dental to look. And we developed a purpose, which, as Andrew was saying, is so important because it sets the tone for how things move forward. So positively transforming dentistry in Australia. It was a big goal, and we are taking steps towards changing the face of dentistry, which we're really excited about. Then we have our values, get pow. So we're really passionate about those: growth, excellence, teamwork, passion, positive and fun, and wowing patients. And we were really proud of what we'd achieved there in terms of clarifying we really believed in what we had here, and we were ready to embody those changes. But having those up on the board in the practice wasn't enough. We weren't getting the traction until we changed a few things up.
So here's get pow. So then we realised that the values, it was a bit perceived as it's an extra thing to have to do. So we go, oh, we've already got our work, now we've got to do this values thing on top of it, and it was like a hassle for people. So we made the values and purpose ingrained in everything that we did. So some of the things we do, so hiring is all based on values. We have a daily basics chart, so every single day at the morning huddle we have one value that we highlight, and that's the focus for that day. We have boom cards, so if someone does something awesome, we have little handwritten cards, you write down what they did that align and which values that aligned with, and then you go around and hand it out, boom, thanks for doing an awesome job. Then at the weekly meeting, we read out all the boom cards and the team votes on the top boomer from the week. And then we award bronze, silver and gold tooth pins, which we started during the Olympics, but now it's just the Commonwealth Games. So we reinvigorated things there. So, and then once they're up to gold status, then they get a $100 voucher for the week. Then we also created a culture book. So we asked the whole team what they like about the culture of Avenue Dental. And then a culture handbook as well. So for this, we clarified the value, got the team's input on what did that actually mean to them. So what are the behaviours around each value? Then we had got the team to all decide on the best story of someone that exhibited that value from the year. And that was what's in the culture handbook. So that's handed out to each new person that comes in to work with us. Then we also have individual coaching plans for each member of the team. And so we've actually grouped those around the core values. So whether it's excellence or passion, each area is grouped in terms of the individual coaching plan. So the other thing is in terms of recognition and rewards, I always ask, who's feeling really overappreciated? And no one in the world has ever felt too appreciated or too recognised at work. So there was no shortage of stuff. We could just do this relentlessly and you couldn't overdo it. You couldn't do it and people go, you always like so nice to me and always recognising me. I just want you to back off a bit. It's never happened. So then an amazing thing happened. We just kept committing to this, and all the people that didn't align with this self-selected out. And then with our hiring protocols, we were hiring everyone based on who aligned. So over time, it's just everyone then is suddenly on the same page. So here's a few. Here's Shazza and Katie with their tooth pins. we've got the culture handbook and the boom card wall there. And here's the culture book as well with a couple of the team. And the boom card's the bottom right hand there. Those are the cards we hand out.
So with regards to dentists is one of the bottlenecks in what we're trying to do. And initially we started to grow quite quickly. And with that, we need people that have certain clinical expertise that can offer the high level of service that we wanted to provide. So we looked into experienced dentists to try to hire them. And dentistry is a little bit different to most of probably your industries in that dentists are not overly upwardly mobile. They don't look at their current situation and go, I wonder if I could learn something different at another practice. Generally, they just stay there. They're very risk averse as well. And so it was very hard to find experienced people. And when we did, we found not a huge amount of success. One of our values being growth. It was hard to get them to engage with the values that we had. So we thought we need to do something a little different. And how we did it was shown on this screen here with a couple of lovely young people. I'll get Steve to go into how we did that.
So it was just defining, what did we actually do? So the theory, rather than traditionally what we'd always done was hire an experience, instead we decided let's look for talented people that align with our values. So really then we decided okay, well, who exactly are we looking for though? So we had to first work out every position in the practice, whether it's a receptionist, a dental assistant, a dentist, what does ideal look like? So we looked at the top performers in our organisation and then tried to find common traits for them. So we then did a DISC analysis, strengths finder analysis, emotional intelligence testing, and through all that, developed an ideal profile for who we wanted in each position in the practice. So then we also adopted a top grading methodology for hiring. So it's really about putting all the time in up front. Who here loves firing people? It's like the worst part of owning a business is having to, it's just horrible. And so instead of then having a hiring process where you go, that might work out, we'll just give it a go. And then you have to end up firing someone at the end of it. We wanted to put all that time in up front so that then we knew these people were going to be with us then 5, 10, 15 years. That's what we were trying to achieve. So, big thing, hiring for values.
And a lot of the guys that we have hired have said our interview process was one of the most grueling experiences of their life, and they almost turned us off completely.
I really do like awkward situations, so I do try to push that in interviews as much as possible.
Awkward as possible. They've got to wear a white shirt and eat spaghetti, that kind of thing, as we're watching.
So here the DISC and the strengths finder. But a little bit about the solution.
Yeah, so the first thing that has been actually probably, I would say, the most successful is we thought, well, how are we going to get these young, amazing people to come and work for us? And so we decided to go directly to the source, which is the universities. And we developed the Australian Dental Graduate of the Year Award, which recognises the top graduates across the country, and they get a cash prize. They all have to send in their resumes and answer some questions, and the top 10 people from that group actually come in on board with a free course that we do 4 or 5 sessions a year. And we call it the mini residency. So we're developing great relationships with young, talented people. Even if they don't work for us, it's extremely fulfilling. But we've probably hired 5 or 6 amazing talents through that process. And it's been going for about 4 years now. So it's been absolutely wonderful. We have a huge referral bonus. So if one of the team refers in a dentist and we hire them, they get $10,000. And it is amazing. We're probably set to do 2 of those. Hopefully 2 this year. We've got 1 in the works. So we really do pay that out, and we believe 100% that that's worthwhile. We also develop as many relationships with dentists outside of the graduate community as well. So we've always got a list of people that we know we can call on just in case life gets in the way and someone gets pregnant or leaves. Yeah.
And that's why, one of really what Eli and my biggest passion in work is developing a great culture and being great leaders and trying to develop and grow people. So for us then, winning the Great Place to Work award was just so humbling and so just it's the best. So then what we've set out then, we want to be like sort of the most awarded dental practice in Australia. So then again, it's just setting us as like, oh, what place would I go to work at? And people can start to see there are different standards of dentists in Australia. As well as just an internal innovation, one of our dentists, Greg, came up with the idea. He's done a lot of volunteer work, and so he came up with the idea of Avenue Dental Outreach. So his plan is to get fourth-year dental students. They often haven't had as much hands-on experience as they would like, taking them over to universities in Southeast Asia, and then being able to get hands-on experience and then treat people in need who otherwise wouldn't have access to dental care. So we're just in the process of getting that set up now. As well as we have the Australian Dental Graduates group, where we post about leadership and culture and trying to positively transform dentistry by improving workplace cultures and improving leadership in dentistry across the country.
So, one of the biggest things we're most passionate about is people's first day at work. So the first day at work at Avenue Dental is a lot different to most places. When they first get in, they get a card, they get flowers, the team huddles around them and sings them a song. So most people blush and probably inside are dying, but hopefully it shows to them that we're really committed. Then our getting the best out of people person, our Bob, then goes through the culture, the values, what's expected of them. They're assigned a coach. They've got an individual coaching plan, as Steve discussed, and then they have those weekly coaching sessions throughout their life with us. We have training plans that are designed for each individual specific position. So we talk a lot about the dentist, but even the sterilising people are just as important. And we have processes around giving them everything that they need. And everything is documented on an online platform so that trainers aren't continually bombarded with questions. We have videos that they can refer to instead of just having to wait for their trainer to ask. So yeah, it's a very comprehensive system.
So then we also like celebrating, and pretty much it's like any chance to dress up, then I do that. Because like a large part of it is because Eli was always so awkward dressing up. So we got a few things with the whole team. So it was like Talk Like a Pirate Day. It was Unicorn Day. We just had International Unicorn Day. Who knew? It's a thing. So we had that the other week.
Our patients were pretty shocked that it was Unicorn Day as well when the dentist rocks up with a thing on their head.
So an excuse, Cheeseburger Day. May the 4th is Star Wars Day. And I don't know, fun runs, everything like that. I've got to get ready for the fun run dressed in the tooth suit. It's just coming up soon. So the present, what are we doing at the moment? We've got our current 90-day goal is having... Actually, I'll go back. I read the book, The Truth About Leadership, and in that it was saying that everyone's fulfillment and enjoyment of work is actually more about them being clear of their own personal values rather than them being really clear on the organisational values. And all we had been doing was kept talking and reinforcing the organisational values. That's what we've done for the last however long. And then I read the book that's saying, well, it's the opposite. People feel more fulfillment and enjoyment if they actually have their own personal values defined. So our current 90-day goal is actually helping the whole team to define their own purpose and values. And we're creating a values board at work, so then everyone gets their own little vision board done up, and it'll be displayed there with the hope of then people finding their jobs more rewarding and more fulfilling, and also then being able to work together better as a team where we can start to understand each other's values.
So finally, I just wanted to go through a little bit of a case study for a practice that we started, bought into 2 years ago, just to give you an idea of how relentless we are about the culture side. So initially, the culture wasn't terrible at the practice, but it didn't align with what we were about. So we started implementing all the things we've discussed relentlessly, to the point where about 6 months in, of 15, only 2 people were still historically present in the practice. So most people had only had less than 1 year experience. So that's how committed we were to the values and the culture. But an amazing thing started to happen. So after about 18 months, we had doubled the revenue of the practice. We'd more than doubled the number of new patients coming in. So the patients were noticing the difference. And what's more, the culture was a really positive one. And so not only were we to grow the business, we also grow the culture at the same time. And it was absolutely humbling to see the change. But at any point we could have given up and gone, oh, well, maybe we should compromise and just do things the way that, it's been done before. And we didn't, and it was amazing. Yeah, that's it.
So the final thing here, the saying is that culture trumps strategy, but we really feel that culture is the strategy. Thank you.